This is the Untroubled Author, where creativity meets contentment and connection. I'm Lorna Tedder. Today, in Ep.1, we're talking about defining what success as an author means to us as individuals. I know instantly how a person defines success from how they respond to hearing I'm an author or that I have a new book out. You're an author? Are you famous? Are you rolling in money yet? You have a new book out? Is it on the bestseller list? Is it going to be made into a movie? How many copies have you sold? Have you left your other career to write full time? There was a time when I definitely considered success in financial terms. Specifically, how soon can I quit the day job I'm trapped in and have the life I want because I'm miserable? I've been telling stories since I was 3 years old and writing them since I was 9 years old and constantly in trouble as a child because parents and teachers didn't understand that my characters weren't me and that my complex plots weren't my diabolical plans. Yeah, like many writers, I was a weird kid with lots of imaginary friends who populated my novels as I grew up. I believe the official term for that is rich inner life. When I was first traditionally published under a pseudonym, getting paid for all that was great, but nothing beat the act of creation or of connection with other people who understood why that creation had to be breathed into life. I still think it's as close to godhood as you can get. It's the God spark, the lightning seed. But when I had a high stress career, a young family, a side job, and a writing career under a pen name, those priorities changed. What I wanted out of life in those overstressed days of young parenthood determined how I defined success and what I wrote, which, spoiler alert, wasn't what I really wanted to write and just created more struggle. I've never been someone who fit in easily. I don't march to my own drummer. I'm in an entirely different band. But writing for a traditional big name publisher and trying to give them tired tropes before we called them tropes merely left me frustrated. Plus, I had to explain myself constantly to my then husband, who thought I should be writing whatever made money. Creativity be damned. So I could keep working my day job and write full time too, while he quit to manage the money we'd be rolling in from royalties. Dream on. Those were days when I defined success as making enough money consistently to replace my day job. That meant writing from 10 p.m. until 1 a.m. after I put the kids to bed, and on my lunch hours while working 60 to 80 hours a week at my salaried job for petty tyrants. Although my first book had hit number 5 on a bestseller list, becoming a full-time author, meaning paying the mortgage and grocery bills from my small advance and eventual royalties, became a treadmill I hated. To sell, I had to write proposals that would sit on an editor's desk for rarely less than 6 months, regardless of what my contract said, and often 18 months or more. Complain about the slow response because the book contract says the publisher has 60 days to decide on an option book. Yeah, get that manuscript instantly rejected because you've just made your slowpoke editor look bad. Instantly. Or if I'd really pissed her off by pointing out her contractual tardiness, I'd be asked to rewrite the book over the next 2 years to remove the suspense, to add the suspense back, to, no, take out the suspense because it's suspenseful enough whether the hero and heroine end up together. Yeah, this was a romantic suspense novel. They always end up together, and suspense is a requirement of the genre. Flee an editor to take a book to a different publisher? They all insisted on exclusive submissions back then, no matter how long it took. When they bought, they might want a complete rewrite due in a week. Or rewrite to add a trope, like, hey, love the action adventure heroine, but can you add a baby? Maybe a 4-month-old her neighbor left in her care. She can carry him in a backpack as she leaps from rooftop to rooftop. At least my editor didn't ask me to add a vampire baby to the book, which happened to a friend of mine, for a romance novel, not a horror story. Geez, didn't we learn anything from Interview with a Vampire? But I put up with it because I wanted so badly to replace my miserable, good job, which I was really good at, where I got promoted every year, where I became well known for my unusual skill set. The more money I made, the farther away from becoming a full-time writer I became. My then husband even said quitting to write full-time wasn't an option because I was too successful at my day job, and if I'd been slinging burgers at McDonald's, it might make financial sense. Eventually, I separated the idea of my bill paying income from my creativity. I began writing things I loved, whether they sold to traditional publishers or not, and let the day job pay the mortgage. During that era, I got really creative both with my income streams and with the types of writing I did. But that's a story for another time about my experimentation and successes and failures in unexpected areas. My point here is that I backed myself into a financial corner because what I wanted to do more than anything was to write the stories I loved, usually dark and suspenseful. And to get to that point, I needed to write stories I disliked, even hated, to please my editors who wanted light comedy or family oriented stories. Just not a good fit. I can see the disconnect now and how I had to write what I didn't enjoy to get to the dream of writing what I did. I didn't know at the time, but it doesn't usually work that way. Writing what you hate to get to write what you love and then keep writing what you love. But that's how I define success, getting to write whatever I love to write. Actually, that's still how I define success. But I define the path to success then as making enough money consistently to replace my day job. That path has really changed for me, and I've redefined it. Initially, my plan was to write 4 to 6 books a year, all 80 to 100,000 words each, assuming all those would go to contract. If I could write that many while working full time in a stressful job and still taking care of family commitments, I could quit my job after a couple of years when royalties started coming in, and then continue to write 4 to 6 books a year while having more time for family and my spiritual life. I didn't get a lot of support and often felt alone in making my dream happen. There were times when I told myself, one day, maybe my next partner would be supportive. Maybe one book would hit it big enough to give me that buffer to quit and write full time. Maybe even after I retire and live off my meager pension, while I have financial support to write enough to live off the royalties. If you need to write what you don't want to in order to make a living, I totally understand. I understand because there was a time when I was desperate for financial success in the usual ways that success is defined in terms of dollars. I'm at a different place in my life now. How I got there and all the experimentation are stories for another time, but I ended up with a new job I absolutely love and have no plans at all of leaving. It's business oriented and creative, and I spend most of my time writing or plotting business moves. I have no intentions of leaving it to write novels full time, and my employer not only believes in but enforces work life balance. It's a dream situation for me where I can, on my own time, write whatever I want and sell it, and all the sweeter because of those early struggles. So if you're desperate for income from your book so you can keep the lights on, I get it. I'm not in that place anymore, so I can afford quite literally to redefine how I think of success. It took a long time to get here. Success to me is writing the stories I want to write, independent of the money they bring in. That's freedom to me. Success. Specifically, it's the creativity, the contentment, and the connection with an audience who loves what I write and can't get enough. It's me not worrying about the money or the bestseller lists or keeping up with every trope or every trend on social media. It's me just being me and at ease with what I put out into the world. No worries about being what anyone else thinks I should be. That's it. That's success to me, being an untroubled author. I'm Lorna Tedder, urging you to look at how you define success for now and for the future. I wish you significantly fewer troubles, and eventually no troubles at all.